This is what we do every week, helping people out, diving a little bit deeper in that, talking about clearing, cleansing some of those things from your bodies, from your energy.
This is more my space. So Zac's more real estate space. I'm more in the energetics. And
you should listen to her because she's really freaking smart when it comes to these things.
He is like the happiest, most positive person that I know. So much so I'm like, is this real? Like, but it is.
I'm an expert in creative finance. Love creative finance. Talk to Face Off about that and all the wonderful things with that. Mindset and raising private capital.
I'm an energy healer. I teach intuitive development and spiritual mentor. And I help people learn about themselves and how to use their energy and the energy around them to create realities that they really enjoy and want.
Whatever comes up for you guys. That's the point. That's the beauty of you guys showing up here live for everything, is that we want to answer your questions. We want to dive deeper into your examples. We want to help you specifically. Hey, everyone. Happy Monday. Hello. I'm Zac. This is Monique. We're here for another energetic alignment and mindset series. Just looking to help you guys out in a lot of fun ways. Always trying something new. And yeah, I mean, if you've never been with us before, understanding things with your mind is something that we value a lot, both a little differently. From my real estate investing space. If you guys don't know, I'm a real estate investor. And then I ended up hooking up with this girl who's an energy healer and an intuitive coach. Lots of fun stuff in your mind and all that fun stuff that we are still learning about in the world, right? But we feel and we experience every darn day. So I just love it. So that's something that we're always doing every Monday. Here we are, different topics. So interact with us a little bit. Yep. Charles is giving a comment. So anytime you comment on any of the platforms, anything like that, we can see that. And of course, we're going to be interacting. We're going to look to answer your questions. Anything that you have while we're talking, please chime in. We want to make sure that everything lands really well. Everyone gets it. Hey, Tammy, right on.
Hey, Tammy.
And so if you're good, hey, Jordan.
Hey, Jordan, you're live.
Hey, yep. Say a little hey, hi, anything like that, anytime, whenever you're watching, and we'll love that. So yeah, we're real excited. This is a fun one. Energy is something that was all around. You're always feeling, whether you're feeling up with energy, down with energy, some funky energy sometimes, many different types of energy, right? Tons of energy, but we feel it all. And if you act through that energy without understanding it and you're just reacting to that, well, then you could go like crazy, chaos, like a top that's spinning off and goes all over the place. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we would like to get you in a state of alignment where you get exactly the thing that you were seeking in the world. You set that out there for yourself, that intention, that goal, and everything. We talk about how many ways we can get past all of those weeds and garbage that is stopping you from getting there. And a lot of it is in your head. And when you can clear all that up, then you can take action that's aligned and you can attract everything that you want. Like this lovely lady here and the little baby boy that's sitting in there, and they're now 35 weeks pregnant, right? So any day this thing can pop out of her like alien. Guys, you get that, right? You're with me, right? This. Girls, you're pregnancy. Just looking around saying, why is he on the TV? So we handle it in our own way, right? That's just the fun of pregnancy. But yeah, new experiences, super excited for all of that. So yeah, feel free, chime in, chat. We're going to have a good conversation today.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the heart chakra. And I love talking about the chakras. We haven't really done anything with them yet.
Do you guys know, can you guys chime in whether you know what the chakras are? Whether there's, or you have no idea? Hey man, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah. So chakras, you might also have heard them as energy centers. I will oscillate between the two terms when I talk about them because they are energy centers, but their Sanskrit term is chakras. And yeah, the main 7 chakras. Yep. Isn't Chakra a song by Shakira? Actually, I have no idea if Shakira has a song named Chakra.
Has to
but so chakras, aka energy centers, they are vortices of energy, right? And they are all throughout us. Every joint has an energy center. However, there are 7 main energy centers that are recognized basically throughout, like across the board. There are a couple exceptions.
Jordan got that.
Across the board, there are 7 main energy centers. Today, we're going to talk about the heart, which is, you guessed it, right in the heart area. Each energy center corresponds with different nerve bundles in the body. And this is where I really geek out when it comes to this stuff, because for some people, the term chakra can feel a little like out there, a little esoteric. That's why I like to refer to them as energy centers, because I think it's so important that everyone develops a relationship with their energy centers, because we're all energetic, right? And because we are energetic, we're always working with our energy, either consciously or unconsciously, in creating our reality, right? And experiencing our reality, in either reacting to or being proactive towards our reality. And something that Zac said at the very beginning of this is, like, we want to learn about our energy, so we're not always like reacting to something. And I want to go on, like, continue with that. And we work with our energy to take a leading role in our life. Like, we always have a choice to be reactionary towards something or to take proactive action towards something new. Like, we've received this data, right? Something has happened. We've received this data. How are we going to move forward? Are we going to react to it? Are we going to wait to act and just always be reactionary and responding to our environment? Or are we going to decide what we want, understand what it takes to get there, and take that proactive step first? And working with your energy is a really, I don't want to say easy way, but it's a low impact way to create a desirable reality and to have what you want, because energy moves matter and energy creates matter. So if we're only focused on the matter of, like, I want this thing, so I'm going to only focus, like, my actions and everything that I do, like, I'm only focusing on the physical component of it, right? That's going to take a really long time, versus focusing on what 99.8% of the universe is: energy. If I focus on my energy and I take action, then things will start falling into place. Things will become energetically aligned. Things will happen behind the scenes. Like we talked about this in another episode, of all the things that had to happen behind the scenes for us to meet. If you're in a relationship, think of all the things that had to happen behind the scenes for you and your partner to meet. Even if you've just recently gotten out of a relationship, think of everything that had to happen for you two to be at the same place at the same time, having the same experience, and then connecting, so that you could learn the lessons, or you could continue learning lessons with them.
Yeah.
Right?
It's really all of life. It all traces back to all the experiences, all the people we interact with, all the ups, the downs, all of those things, whatever we had to learn, like you're talking about. And we're not ready sometimes for that next step until we've had some of these energetic shifts within ourselves.
Yeah. And so when it comes to working with energy, it's just so incredibly important, right? That's why we have this.
And it's so much easier when you are all aligned with everything, because I don't know. I mean, you can say that some people are lucky. You can say that they are unlucky. Try and put them in those type of buckets. But I never believed in luck.
Energy, though.
I never believed in luck. Because one, I felt like whenever something was up to luck, I would have shit luck. Like if it was like flip the coin, I would not be good at it. Bingo, I hate that. Well, so I feel like I'm lucky in a lot of ways. And everything in life. But yeah, no, that's yeah,
I
exactly.
think that you're lucky though.
Well, see, but I feel like I make my own luck at a lot of things. And I feel like whenever I go into a problem, I'll go into it maybe not aggressively, but I'll go into it very determined and focused, but I'll attract that towards me with friendliness, with happiness, with sharing that we all know what this good outcome is going to be, right? And I'll share that vision with people. And then that thing can happen a lot easier, where other people might say, man, you know, it's so hard. I got to go about all these different things to get there, or the world is crashing down on me, you know, like even with building department and cop and all those different things, they're trying to come on me for some violations and things, but we're just going to make the easy way happen in all of this, as opposed to sometimes you try and go and fight building officials. And I always tell people, like, that's not the best way to do it, because they're going to play this like this more of a authoritative God type of complex where they can do no harm, and they're just going to play that role and puff up their chest a little bit. And it's like, there's no sense to go up against that. That doesn't get you anything good. Take the path of least resistance, work with them, pull someone across the table so that you're on the same side of the table, as opposed to being opposed on a table. Anything that you can do to get people in alignment towards your goal, it is always going to make things so much easier. And then people on the outside, they're going to think, oh, he's so lucky. She's so lucky to find someone so amazing like him. No, she's amazing, and I'm so lucky.
But essentially what you're doing is you're playing on your energy.
Yes,
energy.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And so I didn't know it was called that. I didn't know to think about something like that until I was really introduced to more of that whole field that she is, you know? And so it's really fun. And that's why we keep doing this, is because just we're always learning a little bit more. We can look at something a slightly different way, and that might give us the perspective that we need in order to shift, to level up to that next place that we want to go. We just need one more little badge, you know, like whether it's a scout badge that we're getting to go to the next level, or we're trying to level up our computer game guy, our video game guy, so that we can go beat the next boss, whatever that thing is. We're just trying to level up to the next thing. Maybe we need to learn about chakras. Maybe this will open something up. Someone will feel more like they're in their upper chakras versus their lower grounded chakras, and what that means. The upper echelon and the lower echelon, right? We can, in architecture, I was told we can make up our own terms all the time. So
yeah.
But yeah, so today we're talking about the heart chakra, which is right in the center. So it ends up bridging the upper and the lower echelons of chakras.
Yeah. So your heart center is right in the center of your chest. Is kind of like where you can feel it. And you can feel it if you are attuned to your own energy field.
When we're feeling a tightness or different things.
So
right,
we'll go into physical symptoms.
Okay.
But so we have the 7 main energy centers. So the heart is the 4th one right in the middle. So it bridges the gap between the upper energy centers, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. And the gap between the lower energy centers, the solar plexus, the sacral or womb space, men have it too, or the root, which is right underneath the perineum. And the heart is a really, really I mean, they're all powerful. Okay. When I say this, I don't want to, like, I'm putting emphasis on the heart today, because the heart is one that a lot of people can resonate with, but we don't fully understand its power, because we live in a society that mutes the importance of being in touch with our feelings. And because the heart is the energy center of our feelings, then I'm going to stress the importance of that today. However, every energy center is important. It's so important. I keep saying that, but it is so important to take time to connect with each of your energy centers.
Guys, this is very important, right?
Because if something is off in one of your energy centers, then the energy that you're giving out into the world, the energy that you're putting out into the world, is going to be skewed. Therefore, you're going to find yourself attracted to, or focusing on, or only experiencing skewed results. Results that might seem like it's like close but no cigar, or it's a cycle or a pattern that keeps repeating itself. And you're like, what the heck? Why can't I get out of this?
Because you just don't have these one things figured out
because
yet.
you have to go in. We're so hell-bent on focusing on what can I control outside of me, when the questions that we should be asking is, what do I have control over within? Because we only have control over our thoughts, our emotions, how we're choosing to show up, and the perspective that we choose to see the world through, and the actions that we take. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know how other people are going to respond to us. We don't know who's going to try and play a power card, or who's going to come at us with negative or toxic behaviors, and blame us for stuff, or try to push things on us. We only know how we can respond to that, how we can show up, the action that we can take, and what we choose to allow in and out of our life. And a part of that is what we choose to feel. So if we are choosing to, what happens here? So when it comes to the heart center, all right, the heart located in the center of the chest, like I said, all energy centers correspond to different nerve bundles. Okay. So your heart corresponds to what part of your nervous system? I'm not going to remember, but it corresponds to different parts of your nervous system, right? So body parts that it actually responds to is your actual heart. All right, your heart, your lungs, your arms, think of the areas that surround your breasts, your mid-back, like your scapula. And so the areas around your heart, even like your heart chambers, people with high blood pressure tend to have a blockage in their heart energy center. So areas that it affects in your physical body are all of those things. So what happens when our heart feels shut down, or it is quote unquote closed, because if your energy centers were closed, you'd be dead. So they're not actually closed, but they just feel like there's some type of an obstruction in the flow of energy. You will actually feel density in your chest. You will feel a constriction in your chest. You might even want to like lean forward. A lot of people with forward head posture or rounded backs have an obstruction in the flow of energy of their heart chakra. So we actually will experience the physical symptoms of our energy centers. And a lot of people who experience physical symptoms like high blood pressure, chest pain, even people who experience breast cancers, even people who experience just like mid-back, what do they say? You carry like stress and your traps right here. So this is connected to your throat as well, but the heart also plays a role in right here behind your neck. So people who tend to have a lot of stress, they'll be really tight right there. So we experience these physical symptoms because why? We're not feeling our emotions. It's known that high blood pressure is caused through what? Stress. It's known that an emotional component to all cancers are repressed emotions. It's known that every physical ailment has some type of emotional or mental component. This is a fact now. It's no longer just speculation. This is a fact. And so we know this, that our physical body shows us these symptoms. And sometimes it's not going to be chronic. Sometimes it will just be like you wake up, you're like, oh, I feel like I have just like a weight sitting on my chest. Or you get into an argument with someone and you just feel that like constriction in your chest afterwards. There's an obstruction of energy in that energy center.
So isn't that interesting? So what I hear when like an obstruction of energy, it's not flowing through there. You know, think of all the other places where these things happen. If you have any question of whether that's possible, like arteries, you know, they get obstructed and they can't flow the same way. They get all that plaque on the inside of the arteries, right? So it affects all of that. Think about your nerves and the synapses between them, the two nerve cells, and it's transmits the nerve signal through from one nerve cell to the other. And when you don't have enough certain chemical, those nerves can't transmit that pain through, right? That's a block of the energy that's going through all those things. And so in the same way, if we have some of these chakras that are all clogged up, or they don't have the right equipment that they need so that it can just flow right through, well, then you are going to be deficient in that one area.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tied. You're going to feel a physical type of deficiency, and that can manifest in different diseases. But then there's also that emotional type of deficiency.
The emotional and mental type.
And, you know, if you're not aware of those things, unfortunately, you know, it's going to happen regardless to you. So you're just going to be the product of that. You're going to deal with the results of that, the results of a clogged artery where, or the results of your synapses. You can't get the nerves through, so you can't feel things. You can't walk the same way, any of those things. That can all happen when your system is out of whack. So this is just one more metric that we can look at, one more way that we can think whether our system is aligned, if it's all cleared of any of that plaque that can be gunked up within us. Even vehicles, they don't run when they've got gunk that are in all their parts. Pick a part. It's not going to work as well when it's got gunk in it, right? So that's what we're trying to do, is figuring out many different ways to clear this thing up. And since, we have all these different heart chakras, all these different chakras, let's try and clear up each of them and understand those benefits of how that affects our life. And we've got a wonderful person that can teach us, explain all of those things in that way. And it might bring a lot of clarity to people in different problems that they're experiencing.
Yeah. And so some other ways that that there's some type of obstruction of flow of energy in your heart center are your relationships might be suffering, or you're having a hard time feeling connected to the world around you. You're not feeling as connected to a higher power. You're questioning things. You're either overly emotional, like, not saying that you're feeling your emotions, but it's like someone cuts you off and you are freaking out in your car.
You're on a short fuse.
Yeah. Yes. You're on a very short fuse.
Okay.
Or you're completely numb to the world around you. So like say someone very close to you passes and you shed no tears, you lose your job and you feel nothing. You just numb out. Right. So those are all symptoms of an energy center in your heart, that there is some type of obstruction with the flow of energy, either coming in or going out. Something that a lot of people don't realize about your chakras are that they are a reflection. They're a story. They're a reflection of your past. They are a story of who you have claimed yourself to be, whether consciously or unconsciously. So the energy that we hold in our energy centers, they are not predicting the future or even the present moment. They are an accumulation of energy from the past. Hey, Devin, they are an accumulation of energy from the past. Okay. So this is the stories that we've learned about ourselves, the beliefs that we've taken on, the emotions that we've felt or haven't felt, and all the experiences that have made us, that we have contributed to our identity. All of that lives in your energy centers, especially the energy centers in the body. So from the throat down and the heart down.
So, think about that. And we relate that again to plaque in your arteries. That wasn't caused overnight. That's an accumulation of everything up until that point. Whether you've been working out, whether you've been eating whatever foods you've been eating or not eating to help that, all of that. And the same with the car. If you don't treat the car right, you don't put the right things in there, the car's going to get gunked up. All of these things, it's not a product of what happened immediately today or yesterday or the last week. It's the lifetime of the person, of the car, of the arteries. So, but it's also not a prediction of the future, like you were talking about. It's just that accumulation. So we can clear those things back out.
Yeah.
Right.
So things can impact us immediately in our energy centers.
Yeah.
But essentially the energy centers are an accumulation of the stories of the past, right? And so they can predict a potential in the future if you do not change at all. If you are uncommitted to your growth, to your evolution, if you're just playing a victim in your life and you say things like, fuck relationships, I don't want one anymore. Fuck men, fuck women, I'm over it. Or you say things like, this job's just not cut out for me. I'm not doing it. I give up. I quit. Or you want to start your own business and it's taken a while for it to get off. And you're saying like, all right, screw this. I guess this isn't for me. I've wasted so much time doing this. You are giving in to the stories of your past. Because you can create a future that you want, but you have to first shift your energy and the energy that you're putting out into the world. And if all of our stories from our past, our inner child, the beliefs, the critical voice that we have in our head, the beliefs, the stories that are just on reels in our mind of, I can't do this. I'm not worthy. I'm not lovable. I'm going to get abandoned. All of our fears, all of our worries. If we are giving power to those, then our future will be predicted for us. And it's going to be one that we don't really want to live in. It's going to be one that feels hard. It's going to be one that feels frustrating. But the thing is like Zac keeps giving examples of like the car and your body, you can choose a different meal to eat for lunch, even if you had a crappy breakfast. You can choose to start to check your fluids in your car right now before you go on this trip, before you drive. Same thing with your energy centers. You can choose to tune in to your energy centers and see what is here. What wants to be felt? And specifically with the heart center, it is a center of feeling. So we want to feel here. And if we are unfamiliar or uncomfortable with feeling our emotions, then our heart center is going to have a blockage, right? It's going to have a blockage, and we're going to keep seeing that show up in our life through patterns and cycles and repeats of the same people flowing in with a revolving door. Same person, different face. Same person, different face. Same opportunity, different title, right? Same job, different company. And we're going to keep seeing this until we address the feelings that these experiences are emitting within us, are wanting us to feel, right? So what we want to do is pay attention to the feelings that we feel throughout. Like, how does that person make you feel? How does that pattern make you feel? And the thing is some of it, we feel heavy things like shame or guilt or embarrassment. And yes, those emotions technically live in different energy centers, but we're focusing on the heart, and the heart can connect. They all connect to all of them. But what we want to do is we just want to start feeling. So when you think of an emotion, like if you know, is there an emotion in my body that I've been ignoring? Or is there a feeling in my body that my body's been trying to feel, but I've been ignoring it? It's like something will come up if you have been ignoring it. So what we want to do then is we want to tune into the heart and just ask, how does my body want to express this? How does my body want to experience this? And then you might get an image pop up. You might get an urge to do something. You might get an emotion come up. You might start crying. You might start feeling something. So that's one exercise that you can do to start clearing out some of the dirty laundry in the hamper. How I explain like a chakra that has a lot of backed up energy. It's like a hamper that you just keep stuffing dirty clothes in because you don't want to throw them in the washer yet. And at first, you take those first couple shirts off, you're not going to really notice a difference, but you are making a difference. So we can start taking these shirts off of this hamper by asking, is there an emotion here that wants to be felt? And if there is, how does my body want to experience it? And that's one of the easiest ways that you can connect to your heart center and start moving that energy through. And then once you get that answer, you want to actually do it. That's the kicker. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what are some of the emotions you guys are feeling when she's talking about some things like that? Some things that maybe you might be holding back, repressing. Like some things for me might be fear. Different fears end up coming up for me. So things like maybe what's going to happen with this baby, right? There's a lot of new fears around this baby and interacting with our businesses and just in our lives in general. Please, someone at least give us some love who has kids out there, right? I wouldn't mind any of that. But yeah, so I mean, fear for me is something that comes up in a couple different ways. So then the next question is what if my body wanted to help us through that?
So once you've identified the emotion, what we do not want to do is start to what is the word? We don't want to start to it'll come
focus on it?
No, over explain like why the emotion is here. So sometimes what can happen is, okay, I'm feeling, Devin, fear and shame. Yeah, my emotion was shame that came up. And so what can happen is, okay, there's fear and shame. Why am I feeling this? That's what can happen next. Where is this from?
Trying to understand where's it's from. Yeah. And I remember you telling me.
We don't need to do that, because
you don't need to know that to fix
back
that.
Into our upper energy. We want to get down into the body, because what happens here is the heart is that bridge between the upper energy centers and the lower energy centers. And if we don't feel these heavier emotions, our energy stays kind of oscillating around our upper energy centers. And then we don't feel embodied. We might feel very worried, anxious, overthinking. We might even literally get like physical injuries in our lower body. We might feel fragile, have like hyperactive energy. That's how you know your energy is very much in your upper centers. When our energy is grounded into the body, when we feel safe enough to feel, when we feel safe enough to connect with our body, that's when we experience embodiment. And embodiment is the basic foundation for any manifestation that you want to create in your life.
The body.
Yes. Being embodied. Embodiment is so being in your body, embodied in my body.
That's
right?
why we like to feel the emotions of that outcome that we're going to have.
Yes. And we don't just want to think about it. We don't just want to think about the emotion. That's what people get really good at. Yeah. You're saying something different. Let's come back to that real quick. I'm going to stay on this.
Sure.
So we don't just want to think about that. We want to actually feel it. So once you've identified what the emotion is, fear, shame, whatever it is, I tend to try to rationalize. Yes, rationalize. That's the word I was looking for, Jordan. Thank you. I knew that it would come up. Rationalize and figure out the meaning behind the feelings.
Trying to figure everything out. Yeah, yes. I'm with you, Jordan.
Yes, and that's what we do. However,
my MO.
Yes, this is a coping mechanism that a lot of us have learned from our parents, because our parents or our caretakers didn't understand how to feel their emotions. And rationalizing, it's not a bad thing to understand where your feelings came from, but it's not always necessary. And we have to move the energy if we want to get shit done, right? Mm-hmm. So in order to get shit done, then we ask, all right, the emotion's here. So how does my body want to experience this? So you can just ask yourself that question. What comes up without thinking about it too much? What comes up? Like for me, I'm seeing myself have a quick anger release. There's probably some shame connected in there with feeling angry, holding myself back. So that's what's coming up for me right now. And the heart is the portal through to your entire emotional body. So when we connect to the heart energy by just setting the intention to connect to your heart, asking what the emotion is, and then asking, how does my body want to experience this emotion? You're literally communicating with your body. And when we communicate with the body, we bring our awareness into the body. And when we bring our awareness into the body, we become more embodied. And from here, we can understand, where else do I feel tight? Where else do I feel a constriction of energy? Where else are there any emotions in my body? And it's from here that we begin to connect with the body through the heart center, connect with different parts of us, which is a different episode, but connect with all of these parts of us, all of these emotions. And once we've cleared out the gunk, now we want to visualize and feel into the future possibilities, which is what you were just saying.
Well, yeah, I was just saying that's what we've talked about doing in the past.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
We obviously don't want to try and do that when we're all gunked up.
Yeah, I always
much
explain
as possible.
it. I always explain it because so many people are like so gung-ho about meditating and visualizing, and all of those things are great and all of those things are wonderful. And I meditate and I visualize and I feel into the future. But if you don't first move out the heaviness, it's like spraying potpourri on poop and thinking that that's going to get rid of the smell. It's just going to make it worse. It's going to make it perfumed poop at that point. It's not going to do anything. What we want to do is we want to flush the poop, get rid of it, and then you can do whatever you need to do. Spray potpourri or turn on the fan or open a window, whatever it is.
Hey, you're getting the analogies. I'm usually the one that's doing the funky analogies. So that's great.
So we want to, that's why we want to feel these emotions first.
Solid comparison.
And
right
we
on.
have to feel them. We have to, even if it's just acknowledging the emotion first,
right.
Even if it's just like tuning in to, okay, I'm feeling fear in my body. If all you get to is that point, at least it's now in your conscious awareness, right? And then as you become safe and comfortable with that fear, with that shame, with that grief, with that guilt, whatever it is, then you can start to process it. And I will tell you, if there's an area in your life that you do not have a desirable outcome right now, there's a repressed emotion connected to it. Because that repressed emotion is holding you back because of the fear of the unknown of what's going to happen if you take steps forward. And that repressed emotion, the vibration is a lot heavier than the joy, than the excitement, than the love that you might feel once you get that thing. Your body knows how to operate in the density and the heaviness. It doesn't know how it's going to operate when this is gone. And that joy, that love, that happiness is a possibility. Doesn't know that it's guaranteed.
Yeah, and you might even get worse off afterwards from all things. So it's very
all
protective.
a protection mechanism. It's not something to get mad at yourself about, but it is a protection mechanism. And so a way that we can get around that protection mechanism is through the visualization, is through the feeling, but we have to feel it in the body. We don't just feel it like, oh, when I get that, it's going to feel so good. We feel it like I walk downstairs and I envision myself walking and looking out the window and seeing the ocean and feeling how it's going to feel when I'm in the ocean, when I'm like drinking my cup of coffee over a balcony that faces the ocean, right? Or I'm going to wake up and imagine I'm waking up next to my ideal partner. And how is that going to feel when I wake up next to my ideal partner? How is it going to feel when I open my bank account and I see the numbers in my account? How is it going to feel when I get the amount of clients that I want to get? How does that feel now? How does it feel now? Not a comparison of you're thinking in your head, oh, when I get that, it's going to feel so good and I'm going to be so grateful. No, now. Now it's happening. And it's a very subtle shift, but it's so important because this is what happens is we get caught up in the, oh, it's going to be so great when, and we visualize through that lens. We have to do it now. So if you are someone that wants love, date yourself now. Cultivate love in your body now. But first, feel the anger, feel the hurt, feel the frustration, feel the hesitancy to put yourself out there. Feel all of that first. Console that part of you first, and then move forward. And this doesn't have to take a long time. Like you can literally just scream, get mad at somebody or cry, hug a pillow, hug a stuffed animal, tell yourself you're awesome, tell yourself you're amazing, tell yourself that this is just the beginning of the rest of your life and that the next person that comes into your life is going to be so freaking awesome. They're going to treat you so well because you know your worth and your value, and you start talking yourself up, and then you go and you live your life as if you were already in that relationship. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So let's break that down a little bit. So I think where we're at last is, all right, we're noticing the emotion, right? And some people have shared different emotions that have come up. Some people have one emotion, some people have 2 or 3 emotions. So do we go through each of those emotions and kind of say that to ourselves? And then you said feel it in our heart chakra, right? Because that's where it's coming from. And then feel maybe sense where it might come from anywhere else.
Yeah, so the heart chakra is like a gateway.
Yeah.
To
the upper and the lower echelon
to the rest of your body.
Yes.
And yes, repressed emotion does equal stagnation of flow of energy. Yes, Charmaine. Yes. So the heart chakra is like the window.
So we feel it here,
the door,
and then we can feel other things in the body, maybe other energy centers.
Yeah. So
where
what
we
happens,
might look to notice them.
So going back to the laundry example.
Yeah.
So when we're taking off laundry, like, so if we know that there's something going on, we're like, okay, if there's some repressed emotion here, what is it? All right, shame. All right, so how does my body want to experience this? I'm seeing myself doing it angrily. So I'm going to go do that real quick, right? Then after I calm down, I'm going to come back and I'm going to check in, see how I feel. And after I might notice that in my gut, I start to feel very anxious. Like, oh, so this is another layer. So I've taken those first few shirts off. Now I can see the anxiety that's been sitting in my body.
So these clothes in the hamper can be different emotions, different emotions.
Yes.
So maybe not the same one. If we try and clear that one out in the way that works for us, then we just uncover the next type of emotion that's below it.
Because this happens in layers, and it happens in levels and layers. So when you feel that first emotion, you're going to feel really good. You're going to feel really light. And you might also feel a little heavy later that day, or the next day you might have like an emotional hangover, some people refer to it as. And this might be because now your body feels safe enough. This is not a bad thing, you guys. And this is what happens a lot in the healing space is people will start to connect with their body and start to feel, but then they feel a lot of shitty emotions. And they're like, what's happening? Like, I thought I was healing. I feel like I'm regressing. No. Your body just feels safe enough now to start to process and feel all of this energy that it's been holding on to for months, years, decades.
Yeah.
This is a celebration. This is an exciting time because now it's like, wow, my body, I've cultivated this relationship with my body that now it feels safe enough to start showing me other emotions that I've been repressing or that I didn't feel safe enough to feel. And then as you start feeling them, you start taking more clothes off the dirty laundry pile. Eventually the laundry is going to get lighter and you can start shaking it and there's more space. That's when your body starts to literally feel lighter. This is when people physically lose weight. This is when we start healing our physical ailments. This is when we start experiencing synchronicities in our life and we're barely doing anything. We're just showing up. We're just going out for the day because we're so connected to our body. We feel so safe in the experience of our body and we are embodied that we trust ourselves more. So we're starting to listen more to the body, less to the mind. And this is when we go back to the very beginning of this call. And this is when all the things that are working behind the scenes, we start working with them. And now we're in the right place at the right time. We're finding the right person in the right place at the right time. We're experiencing that awesome deal at the right time. It's like all these pieces start falling into place. And there still might be some hiccups here and there because as you feel safer and safer in your body, you're going to want to feel more. Your body's going to want to feel more. And at the same time, you're practicing holding more joy, more happiness, more love. And as you hold these emotions more and you start to feel safe feeling these emotions more, your vibration changes. And as your vibration changes, what you attract changes. What your subconscious mind focuses on changes. The beliefs that you think, the quality of your beliefs changes. Because you are now a space where joy and happiness and love can reside. Now there's actually space in the hamper, right? And all of this can be achieved by just taking time to connect to your heart center each day and just saying, okay, is there an emotion here that wants to be witnessed? Is there an emotion here that wants to be felt? Aww.
Okay, yeah. I'll put that on the screen. That's adorable. Yeah.
Thanks, Devin.
Yeah. So anyone that says cute stuff about me or Monique, you get to come onto the screen. I love it.
But yeah, let me know if that makes sense to you guys, because that's kind of how it happens. And the thing is it's a process, yes. Because like I said, we can have repressed stuff in our energy centers for decades. So it might take months or years for it to come up and be surfaced. It does not mean that good things can't happen in the interim.
That's fair.
Amazing things can happen in the interim.
Yeah, because sometimes, you just feel like unless I deal with this thing.
Yes. Unless
nothing
I'm
is
fully
going to be
healed,
right.
Then I can't have what I want. Trust me, I was not fully healed when Zac came into my life.
Well, and me neither.
We've done a lot of healing together, but the thing is I was in a space in my life where I was really feeling all the hurt from my previous relationships, and I was like taking that data from my past and, okay, what did I learn in this relationship? What did I learn in this relationship? How do I need to show up differently to attract differently? And so I was in that space of like review and evaluation of my life. And I was still having fun. Like I love travel. So I had booked a bunch of trips for myself. I was just going to travel by myself and I wasn't going to wait for someone to do it with me. Did I have moments where I broke down and cried and like, I just want someone to do stuff with? Yes, absolutely. But it didn't stop me from having a joyful experience overall.
And someone on the outside looks at that, me, and is like, oh, wow, she's traveling all over the place. I want to lean into that more. I wish I would travel more. So she's attracting me because travel is something that's important. So that's in alignment with her because she's just living her best self through what she enjoys. And she ends up attracting through that easily, like without even communicating those types of things. And
if I wasn't feeling those heavier emotions and I was still stuck in this cycle of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not, or screw them, fuck them, I'm not dating ever again or whatever, do you think I would have made the same decisions to travel, to do challenges with my sister, to take care of my mind and body like I was doing? Probably not. And then he wouldn't have seen that and he wouldn't have been intrigued by it, right? So this applies to every area of our life. It can be really easy to get mad at the circumstance. It can be really easy to get upset with just things that are happening or have happened and hold on to that. But when we hold on to it, we're only hurting ourselves because we are muting our frequency and we are lowering our vibration. And we can only attract what we are a vibrational match for. And the strongest vibrational components in our field are our emotions and then our thoughts. So we have to get in the habit of feeling and then calling in what we want. And with Zac, we both had a lot. We still are healing. He's still helping me heal every day. He helps me heal, especially throughout this pregnancy. A lot of stuff from my past has come up. But I am very open with him and he can hold space for me. And then he'll share things that I can help him heal. So the whole notion of you have to be fully healed to have what you want is total shit. Don't fall into that. But you do have to take steps towards what you desire. You have to be in that energy of what you desire. And you have to take conscious action each day to clear out the ickiness so that you can invite in the light emotions, the lightheartedness, right? And it's in that space that we will then start to pull in these experiences and start to connect with it's almost like we're shifting movie scenes and we're going to the movie scene where the players behind everything behind the scenes is like working in our favor instead of it feels like it's working against us. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, think about this, whether it's in a relationship or it's in business, it's in your work, it's in anything that you do, you see these people that are very lighthearted, right? They feel lighthearted. You can sense their energy from across the room, right? They're happy. They're maybe very carefree potentially in some ways in their actions and how they're emoting themselves. But they don't have other judgy type of complexes. Their ego is not holding them down with a lot of it. And they're light and they're happy and they're just a magnet to other people in the room. They're a magnet because literally the universe is just shoving goodness like right towards them. Like, look, here's another happy person. Like you're aligned, you're aligned, you're aligned, you're aligned, you're aligned, you're all together. And so that person's going to find that thing that they are seeking so much easier just because they are attracting tons of people with that good, happy energy.
They're taking action from that space too.
They're in there, they're talking to people. Sometimes that's hard, right? Sometimes getting out of your own head and doing things with like, networking, getting out. If you're more of an introverted type of person, it can be something to work through. But of course, when you do, you end up attracting more people and you attract the things that you want out of life. And it happens so effortlessly that's how you know. That's how you know you're getting it, is when it's not difficult. You don't have to feel like you're always working towards it.
And also, like, this doesn't have to be an everyday thing where you're like, okay, what do I need to address today? But I speak to this because so often we just suck it up and move on. Something happens and we just suck it up and we move on. We don't give ourselves the opportunity to fully feel it out.
Okay.
And fully feel and fully let ourselves just be in that experience of feeling and mourning or grieving and processing, because we think, I need to get my shit together. I need to move on. Life isn't going to stop for me.
Yeah. Or you have to act with like broad shoulders.
Being a man, yeah.
Whether you're a guy or whether, I think about a single mom, she's got to step it up for the child that's there too, right? So you could be a broad-shouldered type of person, like, well, I can't feel these things right now. And so back to the analogy of the laundry hamper, so you can throw it in there, but just know that you're throwing it in there and it's clogging things up. So when would be a good time? It's like working out. If you were to work out every day, you would end up much healthier and like more fit, right? And they'll say maybe 3 times a week is kind of like, otherwise you're not really going to get those same type of benefits.
Yeah.
So the question, would be what type of weekly regime, from the lazy person, or the busy person, or the I'm just getting this going. If when I went and I started working out with the trainer, they might ask me, like your sister asked me, it's like, oh, well, how many times a day are you going to commit yourself to this new person that you're going to be, right? And you feel bad whatever you say because it's not 7 days a week, right? Like, do you feel the shame?
Yeah.
Like, now shame is coming up when it comes to something like that. But in that same way, I'll push back and say, well, what's that balance? Like, where can I get that good benefit without doing it 7 days a week or 2 times a day, 7 days a week, like her sister does?
Yeah. So, and this is where my answer is probably not going to be what you want to hear, but it's going to be different for everybody because we're all so unique and we all have different histories. And like I said, our energy centers are kind of an accumulation of the stories that we've used to identify us.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
We all have different stories. We all have different pasts. So for someone, they may have a ton of repressed energy in one area of their life, but not really any regarding another area. Like for someone, they might have a lot of like fear or anger or sadness around relationships. But when it comes to business, they've been flying high their entire life. For someone else, it might be multiple areas that they struggle in. For someone else, it might be barely anything. Now, building a connection with your body is an everyday thing. This is a lifestyle. This is a way of living. It's not just something that you need to do so you can, check, got my workout in for the day. It is, if you want to really be someone who is that radiant magnetic force, building a connection with your body is an everyday, every moment of everyday type of thing. And these are simple things like ways that you can just help stay connected to your body, because that's basically what this is. When you need to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. If you're thirsty, take a sip of water. If you need to say something, say it. If you feel like getting up and you're uncomfortable, shift your weight or stand up. Do these things that we've been so accustomed to ignore. If you need to burp, burp. Like so many of us have been taught to ignore our own bodily functions, and we don't think that that plays a role, but it does, because we're taught, it's not safe for me to express this. How many times have you held in a fart in your life? Probably a lot, especially if you're starting to date someone new or you're like at a new job.
Dating someone new is the absolute worst for me when it comes to farts.
Yeah. So
never thought about it that
think
way.
About that.
It's true.
You're holding that in. So you're probably holding in other things in your life. You're probably holding back things that you find inappropriate or things that are deemed inappropriate. And that can be an emotion, right? So we have to first start listening to our body. Okay. That's an everyday thing. So start doing that every day. And then the emotional side of things. So if something emotional happens, let yourself feel it. Like in the moment, let yourself feel it. Now, if you're at a place where it's inappropriate, like you're at a public setting or you're driving, or maybe you do have kids and you're like with your kids and you don't want to lose it in front of them, shelf it, tell yourself, compose yourself, but tell yourself, I promise I will come back to this. And then
like
the
that.
first free moment you have, you better keep that promise, because your body keeps score. So you better keep that promise. So you can also remove yourself and go to the bathroom and start to process a little bit until you can at least calm down, and then shelf it. You can run your hands under some cool water. You can also go out into your car, remove yourself and go out into the car, go into the other room. And maybe you just need to like shake your fist really fast. Maybe you need to run up and down. Maybe you just need to scream into a t-shirt. You could do something like that really quickly just to move that initial rush of the energy and then come back to it. Or if you have the time, make it a morning habit, at least like 3 to 5 times a week. Make it a morning habit to where before you even get out of bed, just check in with yourself. How am I feeling right now? Anything going on in there? Is there any emotion in here today that wants to be addressed?
And you're asking your body right now, and you're not asking your mind.
Your body.
Just
you
as someone who's in his mind a lot.
And you don't have to feel the emotion in that moment. But just notice, like, okay, is there any emotion here? Like some days I'll just wake up and I'm like, man, I'm feeling really anxious today. Like this anxiety is going to need addressed today. Or the other morning I woke up and like my morning was it was a really weird morning. And I was just feeling like, I don't even know what that would be. The morning with the woodpecker and the crows and Lola's pee and stuff.
Oh, just like
I was a little angry, overwhelmed. Yes, yeah. Overwhelmed. And I could feel that as soon as I woke up. And I woke up like an hour before him and I'm like, okay, I know I'm feeling this overwhelm and this stress. I don't want to introduce it to him first thing. So what can I do to express it? And I thought that I had calmed myself down a little bit, but really I just needed to talk it out. And so when he came downstairs, I expressed it. Yeah. But it also got you to talk out because then you came to bed, you were grumpy in bed. Yeah. That's what it was. So it got us to both release some repressed emotions. Yeah. And so do things like that. Check in with yourself in the morning and say, okay, what's here? How does it want to be felt? And if you don't need to feel it in that moment, just make a note like, okay, some anxiety is coming up today. I want to take time to address this at some point. All right. But do it. That's the thing. Just do it. And then if you feel a random spontaneous burst of tears coming on, just let yourself do it. It doesn't have to make sense. The body does not make sense. The mind works in linear time. The mind wants a timeline of this should happen here. This should happen here. This should happen after this happens. The body does not work like that. The body works in ups and downs and reverses and swirls and spirals and all of the things. So we have to acknowledge that and just know that it's not going to make sense. That we might just have a random bout of anger. That we might just have a random bout of sadness. And something might trigger you that makes no sense. And it doesn't matter. All you have to do is just feel it. So you guys can start doing things like that. And then write down what you want. Write down what you want. And how's it going to feel when you have that thing? How's it going to feel when you have what you want? And then practice feeling that. Every single day, pick one emotion and practice feeling that emotion throughout the day for at least 2 minutes. That's it. This is a lifestyle. So it would be like for me, when I think of like my ideal life, there's so much love in it. So I'll just stare at Zac and just feel like so much love for him. I'll be like, oh, this feels so good. Like I can feel my body infusing with it. Aww. Because I know that that's associated with like our ideal life together. Right. So you can do things like that. The mind has to be able to rationalize and grasp onto things to make things make sense for sure. Yes, but the body does not make sense. And the body does not need that rationalization. And that's how you can tell that you're slipping into the mind, is when you want to start making sense of things. That's when you just pause, break, stop doing it, go do something else, or take a couple deep breaths, bring your awareness back into the body and go from there. It's going to be different for different times. It's going to be different for different people. So I'm giving you guys multiple examples because there is no one size fits all. With each of my clients, it's a different process. But I want to give you a lot of examples so you can pick. And some examples might be like, oh yeah, I kind of want to, that's resonating with me. I kind of want to try that. Or, oh yeah, there was this and I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to try that. And another thing, honestly, is tapping. I had created the alignment accelerator with the 3 different tapping things for your body, your relationships, and abundance. Tapping is such a quick way to shift energy if you are tight on time and you don't want to go through an entire emotional release, because it taps on the meridian points in the body, which are kind of like the energetic highways for your emotions.
So as someone who didn't experience tapping prior to this, I just want to say that was pretty effective when we were just, anytime we try and infuse a little bit of this thing that we're, don't put that up there too. Yeah, because it's interesting. It's completely different. It's something that I haven't done before, and it's very intrusive. Like tap tap tap. You're like, oh, what the heck? You have someone else tap you or something, and it feels very intrusive. But a lot of times, that's the point of it, right? Is it's interrupting a lot of the things that are going on, and you're just doing it on different points in your body while certain things are being said, and so it's really funky how that works. And so using the mind and the body and all of that, I just love trying new things out. And frankly, I love having my own personal little energy healer to go through all these little things together.
Tapping is amazing.
Yeah,
Grace
never experienced.
Oh, good.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy you guys are loving it.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
Funky, cool, really neat stuff. And it's like you can do that for any aspect, and it's of your life that you want to improve. Like anything that you really want to go towards and improve, you really can tap that into you. It's just another similar thing like affirmations, but it's got some great science behind it.
Yes, and I just bring that up too because it is like if you don't have a lot of time or the space or feel safe
That's
enough
what I really like.
to
all
really
of that.
feel the emotion, then you tap on the emotion. So if you've purchased a tapping series, then in some of the videos, we'll just start out and tapping like fear, anxiety, worry, like this constriction in my body, all the worst parts, the stories that I've been told, everything that I've believed up until now. So we're tapping on the memories, we're tapping on the emotions, we're still feeling it, but we're clearing it as we tap these different meridian points in the body. And then once we've cleared it, then we move into, okay, now that I've released this, now I move into the joy, the ease, the overflow of abundance or whatever it is. And then we're tapping that into the body. So that's a really great resource to have. If you don't have time to fully feel. But with that being said, I also want you guys to practice feeling your emotions, practice releasing them. Like you were saying, Charmaine, you've suppressed so many emotions that needed to be addressed with that saying, suck it up. And the suck it up sayings, we literally like hold it in to where our body feels like it's suffocating and we can't really move forward with ease and flow. Because if you're just like blown up, how stiff are you? Chances are you're probably going to have stiff joints, stiff muscles, aches and pains, physically, and then your life might feel like a little more rigid if we're constantly in that suck it up, get over it, move on. It's when we can feel our emotions and let that energy flow, our body becomes softer, our reality becomes a little softer, more flowy. And it's just because everything is a reflection of us. And I could just continue talking about this, but I'll stop now because I know we're over an hour. But yeah, so feel if you can, connect with your heart center if you can in the mornings. It takes 2 minutes, guys, 2 minutes. And remember, this is a lifestyle. It's a way of being. It's not just something that we do to get an end result. It's who we are becoming. It's who we are being. And then our reality, our life is a reflection of that. So yes. Do that and take the tips throughout this video. I know we kind of sprinkled a lot throughout the whole thing. So as always, rewatch if you need to. If this stirred up any questions or comments, feel free to message either one of us, or just comment on here and we'll come back to it. Or if you'd like to go deeper into this, we can do another we'll continue talking about the chakras and the inner parts and all of that.
Yeah,
well.
all the little nuances.
Yeah.
I can't wait to learn all the little nuances, how they're all
because
connected.
This is such a big topic, and I tried to condense it as much as I can in an hour, but we could talk about it forever.
No, I think that's really wonderful. I can't wait. And guys, anyone who's watching this, I would implore you, just learn a little bit more about yourself.
Yes, especially guys, because
we're
taught
to repress
so much. Your heart chakras, and like men typically experience high blood pressure. Men typically experience heart attacks. Like you guys need to be feeling. You guys need to be doing the energy work, the emotional releasing. You guys need to release that, because you guys can be really powerful. I mean, everyone can be really powerful manifestors, but Zac is a super powerful manifester when he's on his game. And so it's just letting yourself release those emotions that are holding you back. And then, because men, they have the masculine energy, they have the structure, the support to hold what they're calling in. It's just in their nature, right? They want to provide. So they naturally have that structure and support to hold the feminine flow of the energy, of the abundance, of the love. Women, we're naturally more in the free flowing, the chaos. So we have to create those structures to be able to hold what we want. But we're more able to feel a little easier.
Yeah, you're the floodgate. So it's always flooding for you and going everywhere. Where with us, we're like, we've got the dam in front of it. But we've got tons of structure there, right? It's just we don't want to open the dam up at
but
that
if
point.
men could, then wow. And then that would activate women to feel more safe in their presence, in men's presence. When a woman feels safe, she's in her feminine flow and her feminine power. And then really magic can be created, and so much power can be had between, even if it's just a friendship or a partnership or whatever it is. Just if more men were doing this and taking this work seriously, we would live in a different world right now.
Yeah, so that's why I just want to implore and challenge other guys.
Those comments, will you go back?
Implore and challenge all of you guys, gals, everyone, but just be a little more open. Be a little more accepting of yourselves.
Thank you.
Explore something a little bit more. Always be curious. I'm very curious. So it's just something new like this just allows me to see things a little bit differently in the world. And so potentially that allows things to be easier and, everything to happen just faster and without me trying so hard. And the more I open myself up to the world and learning those things, the more that happens. So yeah, guys, implore that. And you don't have to get so pissed off at everything all the time, right? So many people are so pissed off. Cut it out. Just push some happiness. Everyone's dealing with a day, 24 hours, and it can be a rough one. But you can also make people's lives better. So with that, hope it made your lives better this week. And we look forward to next week, Monday, 7 p.m. We're going to go a little bit more into chakras and how that affects everything. So get ready to learn about yourselves. And thanks again, everyone. Lots of love, and see you next week. All right. Peace.